You're listening to Mile High Insiders with Nick Kendall and Luke Patterson. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all things Broncos. Now, it's time to find out what's going on behind the walls of UC Health Training Center.
We did it.
Live, green lights, we are good. It's all about adapt and overcome in this day, 2021. Am I right?
I think so, man. Just one step forward, and if it's done, it's good.
Mama say knock you out, and if it's done, it's good. I want to quote you on that, like a mic drop moment. If it's done, it's good. And what's good? It's MHI tonight. What's up, folks? MHI, Nick Kendall, Luke Patterson, Mile High Insiders, John Bawana Beast on the ones and twos. Thank you for bearing with us for a couple minutes. We're not going to tease y'all too long, but everyone loves a good tease. So we had to tease this one because we've got a huge show to get to tonight. We've got one of our own favorites, Nick. I know you love him. I love him. Daniel Jeremiah with some recent comments about the Denver Broncos, Bucky Brooks as well. So we've got a huge show to get into. But before we get there, let's say what's up to Broncos country. What's up, Dylan Von Arks? I see a huge supporter of the show, Wavehawk Channel. Johnny Dispatch Viking. We've got Dave Glassman in the house saying the book club was awesome today. Guys, he's referring to Mile High Huddle's content where you can never miss a beat of Broncos country or Denver Broncos analysis. Be sure to get at Mile High Huddle on Twitter, milehighhuddle.com for the best Broncos coverage. Cobra Commander, I see ya. But Nick, it's Saturday night, man. MHI, let's rock and roll. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, doing pretty well. Went on a nice hike this morning, a little late because I was with a few friends and there was a car of young damsels in distress. So we thought, we have plenty of time. Let's do it. So that took a good chunk of time. We got them out, which was smart. Being from Iowa, you know how to get a car got out of snow. They were from Georgia, so they had no idea what they were doing. But glad to help them get them loose. And then it was your route. We got 20 minutes extra. We'll be fine. Route was delayed 40 minutes. So here we are, 20 minutes late, but really happy to be wheels off the ground and beautiful today too, man. I know you said it's been hot there in Colorado. You got some rain today though, so hopefully your lawn is looking pretty good.
Oh, I'm about the lawn.
Absolutely.
Since I hit 30. Since before I hit 30, I'm about that old man grouchy motto. What's up, EJ? I see ya. What's up, Nick and Luke? Broncos country. It's Saturday night. Andrew Baker, I see ya. Guys, this is Mile High Insiders. He is Nick Kendall. I am Luke Patterson. I said Nick Kendall like this, like he's out of here, but he's actually over here. I'm going to get this camera right one of these days. And we've got John K., one of our good friends on the ones and twos tonight. Mile High Insiders. Be sure to get at Mile High Huddle on Twitter. If you want to talk to Nick, which Nick loves to rap football, get at Nick Kendall MHH. I'm at Luke Patterson LP on Twitter. And here we go. If you want to follow the Mile High Insiders at MHI_pod. We're going to throw out some swag alerts where you can get one of these cool hats. You can subscribe, like, and share. Get to the huddleuppodstore.com and get all of your gear where Nick is with building the Broncos. He's got some – Nick, you're always all over the airwaves, man. I wake up in the morning and you and Scott are rapping Broncos. Tuesday nights you're on Broncos. Get to the huddleuppod.com and get your swag on where you can see Nick Kendall's gear. He's got multiple hats, multiple personalities, folks. He is great. He's all over the place in Broncos country, and we absolutely love it. But, guys, be sure to get at Mile High Huddle where we've got the best Broncos coverage, and we're going to take you guys through this offseason. So, Nick, OTAs, they're in the books, mandatory minicamp in the books, and the Denver Broncos. We kind of call this, peek behind the curtain. Shouldn't be any shocker here. It's kind of the lull, right? It's kind of the dead period right now for the NFL as we hope our players stay healthy, happy, and out of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big time here. We got plenty of still football to analyze here and a lot of questions that have come from the mandatory minicamp, but we'll be able to find content still, and we're still going to be coming at you guys. So I'm not really worried about that because we dig deep in the hypotheticals every single offseason, and there's a lot of questions to be answered in Broncos country. But we got Albert coming in here asking, Albert, how you doing? Good to see you. Broncos are the most improved team. Finally, some good news from the media, and they definitely have a chance to be one of the most improved teams. That's obviously what we're going to get into here today. But before we get any further, we want to say hello to some super chats here, and we got Brian Greenfield in the house. Brian, $5 super over on YouTube, guys. We really appreciate the super, keeping the lights on in here. What's up, guys? What's up to you, Brian? Hope you're doing very well on this Saturday evening, and maybe you're enjoying some cold ones. I think my better half might be handing me an adult beverage here in a second because it's hot out there, and that was a little stressful driving here. But we're in now.
Sneaky, man. It's the summertime, man, and enjoy yourself. Yeah. Enjoy good company and enjoy these Broncos wraps as we take you through MHI. And here's the thing, man. Daniel Jeremiah, right? You know him, you love him. He's on NFL Network. And speaking of you know him, you love him, there's Nick's favorite beverage, hashtag Nick's Beer Fund. Do me a huge favor and give us a Nick's Beer Fund on the comment thread. But here's the deal, Nick. When Daniel Jeremiah talks, you listen, I listen, Broncos country listens. And Daniel Jeremiah on NFLnetwork.com said, quote, a little bit off the radar. End quote. One team talking about the Denver Broncos. I don't think anybody talks about this team, Jeremiah said. A little bit off the radar. Last year, the Denver Broncos were 5-11. That's not a 5-11 roster. I know the quarterback thing, and they've got to get Drew Lock playing. They've got some insurance now with Teddy Bridgewater. But when I look at the team, I look at the defensive personnel with head coach Vic Fangio coordinating, and I look at Cortland Sutton coming back on offense. I look at drafting Javonta Williams to plug in at running back and the offensive line with coach Mike Munchak. I think it's a really solid group. It's much improved over the last couple of years. Garrett Bowles just got paid. Daniel Jeremiah highlighting some of the Denver Broncos used to be weaknesses, Nick, right? And now we're talking about strengths and depths. What do you think of Daniel Jeremiah highlighting the Denver Broncos as a potential team to watch in 2021?
I mean, he's got to be absolutely right, correct? The Broncos last year, outside of the quarterback position, which, you know, we're beating a dead horse at this point, and he touches on it too, which is like, oh, I got to figure it out. But they can go with Teddy Bridgewater, who can be, you know, average to slightly below average, but that's better than bottom 5 quarterback play in the NFL last year. And the Broncos outside of quarterback, their biggest question coming into this year was the cornerback position. And not only did they answer that, they emphatically answered it. They threw resources at the position. Ronald Darby. At that point, you're like, okay, Ronald Darby, Michael Ojemudia, Bryce Callahan, maybe bring a guy in day 3 of the NFL draft. You should be okay. Nope, not done yet. Goes and gets Kyle Fuller, who's still one of the top 10 cornerbacks in football. Great scheme fit, very physical, can do a lot of things. Nope, we're not done yet. We're going to go get Patrick Surtain, the second defensive player off the board, but still a lot of people's number 1 cornerback, and who's been downright impressive in mini camp so far. So this team's going to be, the defense is very good. And if Von Miller / Bradley Chubb can stay healthy, there's no reason this Broncos defense shouldn't be a top 3 unit in the league.
I tried to build Kyle Fuller up a little bit over last week just because, man, I don't think he likes talking to us in terms of the media, right? Kyle Fuller, of course, with a very black and white answer, short to the point, and when he was made available to his media availability. But it's one of those things where I know Kyle Fuller does his talking on the field, Nick, so I don't really have a problem with players that don't want to talk to the media. I get it, right? It's some players like it and other players don't, and I'm kind of okay if my corner doesn't like it, right? Usually we're used to some of those edgy, outspoken corners like a Aqib Talib, a Jalen Ramsey. Yeah. But then sometimes you get a Champ Bailey around, you know, and Champ was certainly warm to the media, but Champ was a man of few words, I would say as well, unless it came to his Hall of Fame speech, which was just home run, blown off the doors and rock your socks, and I'm okay with it. But let's say, speaking of being okay with it, I'm okay with Broncos country in the house tonight. What's up, Bobby? Hope you're doing well. We've got Cobra Commander in the house. Gary, I see you. Brian, appreciate you so much for that super chat and joining MHI tonight. He is Nick Kendall. I am Luke Patterson. Get at Nick Kendall, at Nick Kendall MHH, at Luke Patterson LP on Twitter. That's where you can find us for any DMs, chats, whatever you guys want to do. We are into talking football. And speaking of talking football, Bucky Brooks also talked about the Broncos, Nick. And he was showing the Broncos some love as well. He says, quote, literally, it's about the right quarterback taking care of the football. If they take care of the football, they're going to win games. I think their division is tough. Kansas City, the Chargers, the Raiders. I mean, it's tough sledding, but they're certainly good enough to where they can make some noise. And I also like the fact that they rebuilt their entire secondary, more depth and more talent. Bucky Brooks starting to like some of that depth that we're talking about, Nick. You follow Bucky. I follow Bucky. He's a great football mind. He's a colorful personality and
great voice too. Man,
yeah, it's absolutely. And he's got some serious style points going for me, Bucky Brooks right now. And I absolutely love Bucky and DJ. But what do you make of Bucky Brooks right now? We hear it's about the right quarterback. What does that mean for you, Nick? The right quarterback right now. Now, we talk overreaction, we talk underreaction, we ride that roller coaster through OTAs and minicamp, but who is the right quarterback right now for you? And how would you describe Bucky Brooks talking about that right quarterback for the Denver Broncos?
I mean, he pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's protect the football. And I know that Drew Lock threw a lot of picks last year, but Teddy Bridgewater also had his fair share of interceptable passes, turnover-worthy plays. It didn't turn out that way. Now, granted, a lot of those were in garbage time, where you didn't really have that as much with the Broncos last year, given the talent of the defense and the Vic Fangio scheme. But still, it's really, Shermer talked about it too, right? Like, who's making the least mistakes and who's making the least costly mistakes out there? Because there's going to be times where, you need to push the ball. It's 3rd and 10. You're down 2 scores late. If you have an interception there and it's 30 yards down the field, okay. Okay. And I think there's 2 different questions here you have to answer. One is it just looking at the Broncos and trying to get to the playoffs as the best version of this team? That could have a different answer than what does this mean long-term for finding a franchise quarterback and trying to get over not only the Justin Herbert mountain, of course, but the Patrick Mahomes Everest, I guess is what it is at this point. It's tough. It's a tough one. I think you have to look at it this year, though. Smaller lens. Which quarterback gives you the best chance to win this year? It's about getting these young players going. It's about saving a lot of these coaches' jobs. It's about getting competent offense out there because we have not seen that in far too long. It's been boring, and hopefully we can get it on the right tracks. We got Wave Hog coming in here saying, if Fuller cracks me up, he would give one-word answers every time if he could. And yeah, I do think Fuller was was there anybody in the media who was giving him a hard time for not showing up to the voluntary OTAs? Because I feel like maybe that was a response to that. Maybe.
No, not that I heard. And, Troy Rank, of 7 News does a really, really good job of not only getting to know these players, but forming personal bonds with them. So Troy does a really good job of trying to build them up a little bit too. So he'll say, something along the lines of, Kyle, my man, good to hear from you again. Probably from the last time they chatted since Kyle Fuller became a Bronco. But Nick, when I start to look at it, right, field day, right, talk about overreaction, underreaction, right? We could spend a whole show talking about field day. But as I look at it, Melvin Gordon and Kyle Fuller, if we're just telling the truth, practiced 2 days with their team in the offseason. Man, I don't know. I'm not gonna rip them to shreds and just throw a gigantic fit for the next few weeks, but I just feel like there have been some missed opportunities with the Broncos to get better in practice for whatever that is worth. What do you make of the whole field day, optional OTAs, voluntary? You got 2 players that just showed up really for this last week in Melvin Gordon and Kyle Fuller. What do you make of that? Because Twitter's certainly on fire, as you know, Nick, and those overreactions, those underreactions, they're coming in hot.
Yeah, I don't put much stock in it. They were going to have if they had practice anyway, it would have been a short day. It's been hotter than heck in Denver too. And it's more about just getting the guys in there. And we're coming to a point in the league where a lot of these teams are going to be having less time on the field in practice. I mean, we kind of saw it this year, the players unions pushing for that in general. So let's say that if the Broncos are bad or good this year, it's not going to have anything to do with really the lack of a practice on that last day. If anything, honestly, it's 1 less practice means you have 1 less chance for a Von Miller, injury that you can have that we had last year. So that doesn't mean they shouldn't practice to completely prevent injury, but I don't think it's doesn't move the needle one way or another. It's the talent on the field and the guys as individual athletes and professionals putting in the work outside of the 2 or 3 hours that they would have been practicing.
It was nice to see Drew Lock hitting his stride, at least with the 3-point shot, Nick. You know what I mean? And we got Andrew Baker up in here too saying, what's up with Drew Lock and that 3-point shot? Yeah, man, he was a legit basketball player, right? Yeah. I think I heard my man Troy Rank saying out of Lee Summit, Drew Lock was getting D1 offers to play basketball, and Andrew Baker all over it saying, field day looking like Lock should have stayed in basketball. I hope he fixes his problems and balls out. We hope so too, Andrew. That would be great. Thank you for joining the show tonight and being much involved in MHI because, that was awesome to see Drew Lock hitting those threes, and it makes me wonder, man, can I see that same confidence? Because when Drew was shooting those threes, That was confidence. That wasn't swag, Nick. And you could call it a silly field day. Drew Lock, he's got the tools. That's something that's never been debated. But speaking of never been debated, Brian Greenfeld and his support, never debated here on MHI. We appreciate you so much. Nick, you was busy trying to get you a Georgia peach, weren't you, Nick? And Brian going after it. And I'll let you take it from here, Nick.
I am happily married. I love my wife, and
Nick's a good man. Nick's a good man, and
but I did have some friends there, and they are both single. So I'm if I can be a wingman, help foster something, then so be it. But
Nick, they said chivalry was dead, and if you guys are pulling over to make sure some damsels in distress were out of distress, I will take it. That's what this world needs more of. Appreciate you guys so much. Dennis Woods coming in with a super. Nick's Beer Fund, Denver Broncos for life. # Go Hawks. # state of being. I see you out there, Dennis. Appreciate you for joining the show. Hopefully you're having a great summer, and hopefully the Broncos have an awesome season to get the summer and the fall going here, Nick. And that's crazy, right? We talked about the lull a little bit, but we've got a lot of analysis to get through as we talk about the Denver Broncos. And for your best analysis, guys, be sure to get at milehighhuddle.com, at milehighhuddle on Twitter. And Muhammad Badri in the house with a super. Appreciate you so much. # King of the Super stickers. And that is very much true. We appreciate you, Muhammad. Hope your beautiful baby boy is doing well. And happy Father's Day. Yeah, Malik, right? Baby Malik. Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there tomorrow. Nick, I know you got a fur baby. I know you've got a pops. Everybody, Father's Day is an important day too. We celebrate Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, anniversaries, all the holidays on this show. Life is too short. So happy Father's Day to all you dads out there in Broncos country. And happy Father's Day, I'll say to my dad right now, Troy Patterson, right? I know he listens to all my pods and our pods and trying to pursue my dream of covering the Broncos. So happy Father's Day, Dad, and we keep it going. Kane Dawson, another supporter. How's it going today, fellas? In the house with MHI tonight. Nick, here it comes, man. We talk about quarterback competition, right? We talk about Teddy Bridgewater. We talk about Drew Lock. We talk about the ceiling. We talk about safe methods of play, if you will, versus stretching the ball downfield.
Pause. We need an air horn coming in here. $200 super coming in here. Oh my God. Jeez. Bobby, what's going on? This is incredible. So good to be here, guys. Thanks for the awesome pod. Thank you to all MHHers. Well, yep. Thank you. Gosh, take a second and thank yourself, because my God, we really appreciate that. I don't even know what we were talking about, Luke. That came down the tracks, and
we were going quarterback competition. And then speaking of competition, Bobby's like, Luke, I'm going to shut you up. And this is that part of the competition. Bobby is just one of those supporters, Nick, that warms our hearts. She's a good friend of the show, a good personal friend of yours, mine, and John's as well. Bobby, happy Father's Day to your dad and any father that's in your life as well, and anybody that you know. I hope your mom is doing well. Please know thoughts and prayers are always there for you and Broncos country. And let us know, Bobby. I want to hear what you think about the Broncos quarterback competition, because Nick, Bobby's always so full of energy, positivity, full of enthusiasm. And me, I'm kind of a pessimist, man. I'm kind of a pain in the ass, a stick in the mud, if you will. So sometimes I need people like you and Bobby in my life to tell me it's going to be okay. And then I got Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks telling me, Luke, it's going to be okay. I'm starting to feel a little bit better, buddy.
Hard to not feel better when Bobby's supporting us like that. So we really appreciate that. Quarterback position, it's going to be hard for Drew Lock to play worse than he did last year, right? So that's positive movement there. He's going to have more experience this year. And let's say that Drew Lock doesn't take that step that a lot of people believe and hope that he can. Bridgewater, even though you know that it's kind of a terminal end with him on this team, with these weapons, with this defense, you can win. You can compete for the playoffs. And obviously, we want to compete for the Super Bowl, but only one team can win that. You have to be able to set other goals every year. And I think with Broncos, both the quarterbacks right here, either Drew Lock taking a step forward, which is possible, or Drew Lock, still struggling and then going with Bridgewater. This team is heading in a positive direction. And how's that for a little bit of a positive mindset there?
I like it. I like it a lot. And here's the thing. So here's what we saw. Full disclosure, I was not out there at minicamp last week, so it's hard for me to judge, right, what I'm not seeing. I'm kind of going based off of our friends in the media. I know, personal connections there that we talk to on and off of the mics. But it's one of those things where Drew's had some good days. Teddy's had some good days. I don't think either one have had atrocious days, and I'm okay with that. Nick, I'm talking to the neighbors today, and we're having a few cold pops, enjoying the summer season. And one thing that's coming up with Teddy Bridgewater is his teammates. His teammates are gravitating towards Teddy Bridgewater. I'm seeing some excitement when I'm hearing Cortland Sutton talk about Teddy Bridgewater, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Noah Fant, and then I'm seeing Drew Lock coaching up his receivers a little bit. So you're seeing positivity from both quarterbacks. That's a good thing, Broncos country. Like, I don't think it needs to be a pro Drew or a pro Teddy and an anti whoever that other quarterback would be. They say competition truly brings out the best. Do you think that's the case for Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater?
For sure. No, I think that's really a good point. And for Drew Lock especially, I mean, when was the last time he really had earnest competition? Right? Like maybe his freshman year of college, because he was a 4-star recruit, I believe, at Missouri, which is not a football powerhouse. So he was always going to end up being the guy there. And he was good at Missouri, not first overall pick good, but, top 50 pick, which is solid. And now coming to the Broncos also, Joe Flacco. He's in his prime. Yeah, eye roll. Good job, PR machine. Yeah, okay. But you knew that eventually was going to be handed to Drew Lock. When that was, you just hope that Joe Flacco could be competent enough to hold that off as long as he could. Didn't play out that way. We got to see what Drew Lock was. And there's promise, right? So last year was given to him. I mean, if you call Jeff Driscoll and Brett Rippon competition, I don't know what to tell you. Raise your standards. But with Teddy Bridgewater here, this is real competition. And he has to go out there and earn it. And I think that can only be a good thing for this team. Also, I think that's only a good thing for Drew Lock, too. It's not that he hasn't been working hard, but now the stakes are higher. It really is make or break. And either, what do they say? Pressure builds diamonds or, busts. So let's hope that this all this pressure and this competition makes a diamond with that former second-round pick.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's one of those things when you're hearing about Drew Lock and that 3-point draining those threes, right? I think it was 4 or 5 in a row. And then he goes to the ice cream truck. He's like, that's what I do, man. And I'm like, that's what I need you to do as a quarterback. I could see it, and you're teasing me. If you can do that on the field, we will be good. And speaking of good, Kane Dawson, what's up, buddy? Huge supporter of the show and of Mile High Huddle, and most importantly of Broncos country, a huge, generous donation. I finally get to catch the show live. I just wanted to give some love and contribute to Nick's Brewski Fund. Happy early Pops Day. Hashtag win the West. Happy Father's Day, Kane. Appreciate you so much, Kane Dawson. Thank you for joining us, a live show. I'm glad it works with your schedule tonight here on Saturday night. Be sure to get at our podcast, Kane, whenever you can. It sounds like that's what you do, and we appreciate that as well. And be sure to shoot Nick a DM or me a DM at Nick Kendall, MHH, at Luke Patterson, LP. We will be sure to get back to everybody that comes in our inboxes because you guys matter to us. If you take the time to support us and you take the time to show your generous Broncos love, we take the time to respond to everybody. So appreciate everybody so much. And Nick, one thing I'm seeing in the chat right now, and as we get to Brian Greenfield, a good transition. I love it. $5 super. Appreciate you, Brian. You absolutely rock. Thank you and happy summer. Nick, any news on the rookies other than PS2 in camp? Nick, everybody knows PS2 is the real deal. Pat Surtain II should be the starting corner. We're thinking, right, with the way defenses are played. Oh, by the way, I've got to talk to you about that article you sent me. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Got to read it this morning on our Twitter DMs revolving that defensive secondary unit. Yeah. But before we get there, what do you think of the other rookies right now as we talk about OTAs? What can you tell Brian now that OTAs and mandatory minicamp is done other than PS2? We know he's great. What about Javonta Williams? What about Quinn Minders? What about Baron Browning and some of those injuries? What are you hearing about the rookies for the Denver Broncos?
For Javonta Williams, it's really hard to take away too much from the OTAs, even in the 11-on-11s and scrimmages, just how they're set up. You can kind of take away, are they blocking okay, or how do they look in their routes, which it sounds like for Williams, both are good. That's great, but it's until you're actually playing games or the scrimmage or the practice against the Vikings, it's going to be a hard time to really get a good evaluation just because how much of that position is actually in there. And Cobra Commander coming in saying, I like Gordon towards the end, but you need to be with your brothers, show up to OTAs or stop acting IKEA or like it. Either way, I get you. But
Melvin Gordon pissed me off the other day, Nick, more than he usually does. And I've been waiting for Saturday night to get this off my chest. I finally get to, so I've been asking questions in the press conferences here since, the draft or whatever, the funny little bug, all that kind of stuff. So we're doing the virtual press conferences, and it's finally my turn to talk to Kyle Fuller, right? Man of many words. And Melvin Gordon just he knows it's me, Nick. So he interrupts. He interrupts my guy, Kyle Fuller, and he sits down right next to Kyle Fuller. He distracts Kyle Fuller, and he opens a bottle of water for him. And I ask something to Kyle Fuller along the lines of, now that you're reunited with Fangio, what are your expectations for the team? Giving a short answer like, oh, we're going to play good football, and, that's what we do, kind of a thing. And I'm like, gosh dang it, Melvin Gordon, you're always after me. It's what I get. Nick, I'm hearing a lot about Melvin Gordon all over Twitter, just like you are, right? He's showing up to camp. He looks good, right? Yeah. He looks lean. He looks mean. He's got that new haircut. But I wanted to ask you this question because Melvin Gordon was asked this question. He said that the Denver media is making a bunch to do about nothing over this running back competition with Javonta Williams. Brian just asked us about the rookie Broncos and OTAs through mandatory minicamp. What do you think of Javonta Williams as competition for Melvin Gordon? Obviously, both running backs need to be utilized in 2021, but Melvin was still taking those starting reps last week, even though he didn't show up to OTAs and stuff like that. What do you make of the running back competition, if you will, between Melvin Gordon and Javonta Williams?
I think out of the gate, it will go to Gordon as the incumbent. He knows what he's doing. He's also a top 10 running back down the stretch last year. But if Williams at some point is going to get some carries, and if those carries are more efficient, if they're more explosive, if he's making things happen with the ball in his hands, you're going to start to see the scale tip a little bit. Also for Gordon, he needs to not drop the football as far as fumbles go. Like that's the quickest way to not playing in this offense right now, right? This isn't the 2013 Broncos with Peyton Manning out there where you're putting up 50 points so you can live with a little bit of turnovers here or there because you're scoring. That's not going to be the case. It's the same with the quarterback position. Protect the football, and good things can happen. Don't put the ball in harm's way. And that's the biggest thing with Gordon. If he shows Butterfingers again when carrying the football this year, trying to do too much, balls on the turf, that's when Williams is going to get a chance. And I don't think he's going to drop it as much. So I think Gordon out of the gate, but it's his job to lose, and he definitely could lose it because I think Williams is going to come in and do everything right and look pretty good.
Agreed. And here's what I'll say that I did like what Melvin said, and I kind of subscribed to it. Now he wasn't asked about not missing OTAs, right? Or missing OTAs and stuff like that. It's kind of understood. We give a lot of softball questions here in the Broncos media, and anybody think that the Denver media is bad, go out to the Jets or Baltimore or anywhere on the East Coast. We're a bunch of puppy dogs here in Denver. But it's one of those things, man, where he did describe, and I agree with Melvin to a certain degree. He described, we're not really going full speed right now. It's hard to judge a lot of what we're doing right now because it's going through the motions, if you will. And Nick, you alluded to the field day, and you're exactly right. For those of you that don't know, new labor negotiations actually stated it would be a walkthrough, I think, the day of the field day and stuff like that. So while, the Broncos players could have been like Peyton Manning and said, no, we're going to scrap field day and do all this other stuff. It's tough, man. It's tough to judge these off-season mini camp type things, but training camp, Nick, that's not tough to judge. That is, you are in the dog days of summer. That is something that we will find out which players have been working out on their own right now. Kyle Fuller, Melvin Gordon saying they've been working out on their own. That definitely appeared to be so. They did not show up to camp, mandatory minicamp, at least out of shape or anything like that. You did not hear any nasty reports, no injuries. So that's really, really good. But training camp, Nick, it's hard to dodge training camp. And we're going to see that quarterback competition. We're going to see a lot of highs. We're going to see a lot of lows, but it's really right now the time where players are vacationing. They're working out on their own, and they hone into their own craft as to which NFL player they want to be in the upcoming season.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I always find it's really a differentiator for this team as far as maturity goes when you break from the mandatory minicamp to training camp, because you can either go out there and spend 6 weeks, not being in the playbook, taking time to yourself, which, if you feel comfortable doing that, that's fine. Or you can be somebody who's maniacally training, get yourself in there with the scheme, working out with teammates, et cetera, and, using that time to get better. It's kind of like you had a study prep for a test, right? And like, okay, you can go home now. The test is in 2 weeks. You had a little time where you're coming in, you're going over some stuff, big test, and your test in 2 weeks. You'll go home, take a break, whatever. That final's coming up. Are you going to go home and study? Are you going to put in the work even more to make sure you're in the best position possible? Or are you going to go home and loaf it? And I will say there is benefits to either way. Sometimes some people need time to get away, decompress, especially if they're so dialed in when they're in the moment. That is a totally valid method, but different methods work for different people. So we'll be interesting to see if anybody takes those step forward or if anybody's still kind of having some issues, wheel spinning after these 6 weeks come and go.
You know what I'm waiting for right now is whichever quarterback, Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, holds their first passing camp first, right? Because that's something that was asked. Obviously, with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater this last week in the press conferences, Peyton Manning would fly receivers out to Duke, Nick, as you know, and Von Miller just had his pass rush summit, and players get together during this offseason. And Teddy said, we'll figure something out like that. I think Teddy's got something up his sleeve as well. But when I see this competition, I like it because the receivers need to get better. The quarterbacks need to get better. Nick, this team needs to get better. And speaking of getting better, Jay is in the house. We appreciate you, Jay. Thank you so much for the support. Saying hopefully we can pull that back up. Speaking of hopefully. But hopefully the deal with the devil from Super Bowl 50 is over. It's time to turn it around. Jay is a student of history. Obviously, Nick, he's referencing the worst post-Super Bowl run since hosting a Lombardi Trophy. Belongs to the Denver Broncos. George Paton was brought here to turn that around. What do you make of George Paton as we sit here before training camp and some of the dramatic changes that he's made? Now, before I let you answer that, I know that we can talk about Justin Fields, right? And you're seeing what he looks like as a Chicago Bear. You're seeing that Andy Dalton is going to start for the Chicago Bears with a very short leash, I think. But George Paton has pulled a lot of dramatic triggers changing this team so far, Nick. And I think it's really interesting when you take a step back and you look at all the changes Paton has enacted as a first-year GM.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that he could come in and, baby steps, and maybe he didn't take the ultimate swing, either making that trade that the 49ers made and going up for a Trey Lance, whom I still have, for multiple people say the Broncos, if Trey Lance would have been available, probably would have been a Bronco. That said, it also sounds like if Trey Lance would have fallen to 4, he would have been a Falcon. So here we are. But it will be interesting to see what happens. I do think that he has done a great job empowering Vic Fangio. Almost every single move that he has made has been one that has empowered Vic Fangio. Unlike last year where, obviously the Broncos did okay addressing the secondary, but even, AJ Boye, Bryce Callen, the injury, a 3rd-round pick, and Michael Ojemudia, you knew that unit was going to be a concern. Should not be a concern this year, and barring some just horrible injury luck, which is possible, but you hope against it. But that's the one. And let me see, you got Casey Martin coming in here saying, "Will Peyton make another deal with the devil and get us A-Rod?" It does sound like if A-Rod is available, the Broncos will try to go out after him because it's Aaron Rodgers, and that's independent of Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. He's that talented, and the rest of this roster right now is good to go. If you can put in a top 3 quarterback, you got a chance to win some hardware. But that's it is what it is.
Did you know Jeff Driscoll was on that team? I didn't know that till today. That he's backing up Jordan Love, I think, in camp for the Green Bay Packers. Like, I'm thinking, what is this world coming to, man? You got Jeff Driscoll and Jordan Love in camp, and Nick, it's really funny because now you're starting to see Jordan Love's doing really, really good in mandatory mini camp. No, he's not. No, he's not. I got friends over there with the Packers too, and all is not well. I think the only thing that was well for the Packers this week is that Brian Gutekunst didn't put his foot in his mouth last Friday, which was a first-time thing in the last 3 weeks. Because every Friday, Brian Gutekunst gets to come out and piss Aaron Rodgers off, and every time he does it, Nick, I kind of wait, and I'm kind of hoping. Now, John Clayton has reported multiple times, if this goes down, he thinks it goes down in the season before training camp. Heck, maybe even after some of these preseason games, Nick. If an Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not gonna hold you to it, if an Aaron Rodgers trade goes down, when do you think it happens? Does it happen during the dog days of summer and training camp when you got that rough practice schedule, right? I'm using rough very loosely. Or does it happen now during the summer lull of summer where nothing's going down right now, where maybe you see some players get into trouble, maybe you see a blockbuster deal? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers? And more importantly, when do you think that could happen?
And just real quick, Kane Dawson comes in here and says, just go into the Texans, Luke, mixing up Blake Bortles there. who went to Green Bay. So easy
Oh,
mistake.
okay. My bad.
Both
My
former
bad.
Broncos. No.
Driscoll to the Texans. Appreciate you,
Yep,
Kane.
that's
Yeah,
right.
my bad. I'm sorry. I can't remember where one of a million different Broncos quarterbacks went. But Kane, I appreciate you, brother. You got to keep me on my toes. Quick. How's
correction?
I love it. Thanks, Kane.
I mean, it would be great to bring in Rodgers. How long is this going to go, though? I really think it has a chance to go even into the season. This does not seem like this Packers team is ready to make this move happen. It does not sound like there is a lot of movement. And it's crazy. Like, I remember draft day, just a flurry of action and news and stuff. It sounded like something was going to break instantly. Didn't happen, but it's been pretty quiet. It sounds like Aaron Rodgers still dug in, and it sounds like the Packers are like saying, well, fine, whatever. Well, I guess we'll just sit here and wait. So I think this even could go into the regular season. That's why I've kind of put it in a box myself as a fan and an analyst. Like, if it happens, I will be extremely excited, but I'm not going to pin my hopes on it because I think it's going to drag out. I think neither side is going to blink for a good bit.
I think Kenneth Patterson agrees with you, saying Green Bay does not want to help the team that Aaron Rodgers is eventually going to go to. Late in the season, they'll probably trade Aaron. And I think that makes sense. And I think if you're the Packers, you want to wait until the absolute last second. Now, my theory, along with a lot of other theories, suggests the same thing, right? They're going to push to make Aaron Rodgers another offer. They've already made one offer. We know that for sure. And Aaron didn't want it. So I think they're going to make Aaron another offer. Aaron's going to say no. And they've already started that smear campaign, right, in Green Bay to make Aaron the bad guy. And you're starting to see the wheels turn a little bit with Packers PR. And it's odd, Nick. It's so odd to see a fan base that is so sound and structurally just rooted in Aaron Rodgers starting to get a little uncomfortable and start to squirm. But that being said, it makes me excited, man. It makes me excited. It makes me hopeful. But like you, right now we've got Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, and don't forget about Brett Rippon, Nick. I mean, you're such a Brett Rippon hater, not ever throwing Brett Rippon's name into the fire.
He's going to end up a really good coach, and there's value to that. So I appreciate Brett Rippon on this team. We'll see if he makes the roster this year. Seems like a good kid, but undrafted free agent for a reason, right? And you talk about the long shot for a quarterback outside of being picked in the top half of the first round. I can't even think in the last 20 years of an undrafted free outside of Tony Romo. Tony Romo is the one that comes to mind, but it's a long shot. And that's it is what it is. I think he's definitely destined on that Kellen Moore path using a Boise State quarterback who also is undrafted, I think, where he'll be coaching somewhere. I believe he's smart. He knows the game. I mean, he really worked with Drew Lock to hopefully help him over these past years. Drew has said, like, man, he's helped me so much with playbook and learning all this stuff and trying to get it going. So I think he'll be a coach, but I don't know if Kenneth Booker's in the house here, but every time I talk about Brett Rippon, he's like, don't hate on Brett. I think he has a little soft spot for Brett, but it is what it is.
I do too. I got a little soft spot for Brett. I think we all do, just for what he is, right? He's a hard worker. He's smart. He's cerebral, and you hope that he has continued success. Andrew Baker, what's going on, man? Saying, what's up, Broncos country? Be right back. Wife just came home, bought a brand new Nissan Pathfinder. Gonna go cruise. Hey. I love y'all. Congratulations, Andrew. It's those things we like to hear about, because when you guys are doing well, we're doing well. Celebrate every opportunity you can in life with your family, whether it's working hard to get a new car or it's something like grabbing ice cream on a summer night, man. This is what we are here to do. This is Mile High Insiders. He's Nick Kendall. I'm Luke Patterson, and Cobra Commander coming in here saying, guys, look, Brett Rippon is still 1-0. That is true, man, against those New York Jets. Nick, could you imagine if the Broncos lost to the New York Jets? It was something that they could have done last year. I don't think Brett played the best game of his career. He played a game of his career.
Yeah. I mean,
he had that Jerry Jeudy touchdown where Jerry saved him, right? Can we be honest about that one? Like, Jerry totally saved. I think it was a comeback route, if I remember. And it was just like, oh, Brett, and I absolutely love Brett and Mark Rippon and that family, that football family is absolutely awesome. And speaking of awesome, we got Zebulon in the house. What's up, man? How are you? Kane Dawson saying it's hot down here in Texas. Gentlemen, how we living? We are living good, Zebulon, and we appreciate you joining us on Saturday night. MHI, he's Nick Kendall. I'm Luke Patterson. Richie Rich, I see you. Appreciate the support. Casey Martin. The game against the Jets was way, way too close. I completely agree. And hey, Nick, Kendall Hinton was an undrafted quarterback, something that we are being reminded of. Nick, Kendall Hinton, I'm really, really glad you brought this up, Mo. Or excuse me, not Mo, Malcolm Brown. I'm glad that you brought up Kendall Hinton, because Kendall Hinton's name is getting brought up in the press conferences, Nick. Drew Lock's talking about him. Coaches are talking about him. What do you think about this quarterback that had to step in and do something I've never seen in the NFL season last year? Try to quarterback a professional team against an absolute nasty defense. What do you make of Kendall Hinton and some of the run that he's getting here in mandatory minicamp and OTAs?
Well, no matter what outcome comes here, given the depth of the Broncos room, he's going to go down in Broncos lore, right? For stepping in and doing what he did.
He's in the hall.
Yeah, I mean, put him in the Ring of Fame, right? Like, or at least hang his jersey somewhere. But he deserves a shout out for that, because that was a no-win situation, and the Broncos put in a no-win situation, and he answered the call, knowing it was going to be rough. But I respect the hell out of him for that. And also, a lot of very much written off this offseason. I'm definitely one of the many who have done so, given the depth of the Broncos wide receiver room. And he's been making some noise out there. So we'll see if he can continue that. Obviously, it's a very small sample size and a not totally translatable circumstance in these practices and 7-on-7s and whatnot. But he's definitely somebody who has emerged to be on the radar now at the wide receiver room. And that's a room with a lot of talent. So it can only be seen as a good thing, right? And what does it mean for somebody like Deontay Spencer, Tyree Cleveland, Seth Williams? Remains to be seen, but how could you not pull for him, right? Like I really try not to pull for guys, because that can cloud your judgment and make you biased. Yes. And that's not what I'm going for here. That's not my brand. I'm trying to give you the best analysis I possibly can. I'm not here for fan takes or, like just bias in general. Right. But it's pretty hard not to cheer for Kendall Hinton, given the story and what he's gone through. And if he could go out there and stick on this roster another year, maybe get to that vested veteran status, get some catches, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, Albert coming in and saying, hey, didn't Kendall volunteer to be the quarterback for that game? Albert, you're exactly right, man. Things were a mess, Nick. I remember Broncos country remembers. I think at one point the Broncos coaches had put in an urgent request to see if maybe a quarterback's assistant coach could fill in as like the emergency quarterback. I mean, every single theory that was like jot down on a napkin for all these years of an emergency quarterback, that was brought to the attention of the NFL, and the NFL absolutely stomped on the Broncos, doing Denver dirty. Absolutely agree with everybody in the comment thread, and we can get into that stuff and protocols and all that kind of stuff. But that was last year, and this is this year, and we're talking about Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks showing some love to the Denver Broncos, and that's something, Nick, that we haven't seen a lot of. If I'm being completely honest, right? The Broncos have become a laughingstock of the NFL, not just because they're bad, but because something that you have noted ad nauseum. They're boring. They're finding new ways to be bad. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think George Paton came in here, and we can make fun of, and I can poke fun of the no shortcuts videos and all that. I think that's really who George Paton is. I think George Paton really is that grinder that he is made out to be, at least with the projections from Broncos PR, the videos, the 4 a.m. grind. I don't think that stuff's just for show. I think George Paton talking, and like you do as well, you talk to enough people in the scouting community, you get to feel for who this man is. I don't think we're going to see the same Broncos that we've seen in the last few years with George Paton. I think George Paton is bringing competition to an absolute head into training camp. I think the same can be said for the coaching staff. They are going to be held to higher expectations. And speaking of those expectations, Vic Fangio, right? We're talking about this defense. What are your expectations for Vic Fangio and his defense in 2021? We can talk about how good the defense is on paper. We can talk about the Pro Bowls. We can talk about Justin Simmons being the highest paid player, Vaughn and Chubb. Hopefully they play together. Baron Browning's supposed to be back, Pat Surtain. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, do you see this Broncos defense as not only a legitimate defense, but as a top 10 defense that everyone seems to be making them out to be?
They should be a top 10 defense. My biggest concern is both injuries for the edge rushers, right? Like Bradley Chubb coming back, another injury. Von Miller going to be 33 coming off of a serious injury. And that's a position where like Malik Reed was good last year, but I know his sacks were high. I'm not a big believer of him as a starter. I know that there are some fans out there in the community. I think he's a good player, but not one that I'm looking to pay or make one of the primary two edge rushers on my team. I think a lot of his sacks were, 3+ seconds. And he was also seen at like one of the highest rates of one-on-one blocking of any edge rusher in football last year, where Bradley Chubb saw some of the highest rate of double teams. So If one of Bradley Chubb or Von Miller goes down, that can kind of make the wheels fall off the bus, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as worried about the linebacker position. I think they don't ask them to do too much, so that they should be fine. They have depth at cornerback. You have what looks like depth on the defensive line, but even if none of them are true difference makers, they can be solid. But you really need Von and Chubb to be healthy. I think that's the biggest thing where they should be top 10 even if Von and Chubb goes down, I think, given the talent they have. But a top 3 defense, that's almost a shoe-in for a playoff spot, unless you have a bottom 3 offense. So we'll see. But that's the thing I'm waiting to see. And I know the Broncos, this past draft cycle, they tried to trade up and select Jalen Phillips, edge rusher from the University of Miami. So they're definitely looking for not only Von Miller's replacement. I mean, you can see that with how they try to go after Leonard Floyd, but they're looking at the future as well, trying to bring in a Jalen Phillips in a first-round trade-up. So that's a position where you want those guys to be healthy. Will they be healthy? That's the question, right? Like that, you need those guys to be healthy. If they are, this defense can really be cooking.
Yeah, you've got an aging pass rusher in Von Miller, who's on the books for a significant amount of money, right? And then you've got Bradley Chubb, who, for all intents and purposes, is a very, very good player, above average, a Pro Bowl player for everything that he has done on the field. But you said it, Nick, those injuries are key. But at the same time, injuries can happen all over the place, right? I mean, a player X can go out tomorrow and blow out their ACL playing basketball, kind of like Clady did, playing back in the day, playing left tackle for the Broncos and things like that. So these are all things that the Broncos will have to monitor, obviously. But Vic Fangio has definitely been given tools to produce a better defense, something I think he is happy about. And at the heart of the day, I worry about Vic Fangio's involvement with the offense if Aaron Rodgers isn't here, Nick. Because if Aaron Rodgers is here, as you know, it's Aaron's offense, and we're going to run Aaron's offense. But Aaron's not here, and we've got Drew Lock and we've got Teddy Bridgewater now. John Clayton is saying that in all probability, Pat Shurmur is probably favoring Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, I can go there. I can also go there if you say he's favoring Drew Lock. I can go there as well. The arguments make complete sense. But Nick, who makes the call on the starting quarterback if Aaron Rodgers isn't here? Because we all know he would be the starter. But is Pat Shurmur making that call? Is Vic Fangio making the call? Who says this guy is my starting quarterback moving forward?
Well, you'd hope it'd be the quarterback with their play, telling you who's going to be the starting quarterback. But I think it'll probably come down to Shurmur. I think Vic Fangio respects Pat Shurmur enough, and did what he could to bring him here just to last offseason. So I think if Shurmur says that this is the guy who's the most competent, he's running my offense, he's protecting the football, we can execute and score points and not give games away, lean into the defense, then that's who I think he will go with. But I do think if it is close, in the end, it will be Shurmur's decision. But I also think that it's not just going to be Shurmur in a room locked by himself. There's going to be conversations with Shula. There'll be conversations with Vic. There'll be conversations with Peyton. So then they'll come to a collective decision. But I do think it does fall on Shurmur if it had to fall on one person individually, if it's not apparent who's the best quarterback.
Yeah, I like your answer to that question, right? Because the quarterback play should speak for itself.
Hopefully.
And hopefully, right? Can you imagine if the starter is named and the players don't agree with that? You've got some very outspoken players on this team, Nick. Yeah. You can see that with the Broncos, heck, just not wanting to show up to OTAs to begin with it, right? They started by launching the official boycott, and then they end up with field day. This is a team that used not having an offseason last year as a excuse over and over. And I'm not saying it's a good excuse. It's a bad excuse. It just is what it is. And then you start to see some of these things. Man, there's so much talent on this team. But I'm starting to feel like we're going to see division among the team here a little bit, because I think right now, just speculating, pure speculation, the hope is real for Drew. I think players hope that Drew's the real deal. I think they like Drew. Drew's a likable guy. The players gravitate towards Drew. Players are also gravitating towards Teddy, and they're starting to respect that experience. They're starting to develop some of that chemistry. And that doesn't mean that Drew's not doing the same thing. But Nick, when the line is drawn in the sand of who is going to lead this team, that's when you start to see some division among the team. And I don't know what that looks like on offense, but I'm thinking strictly defense, right? You had not too long ago, you had Aqib Talib shutting down Russell Okung, right? I don't need that anymore in 2021, man. And I don't think that's going to fly with George Payton's team.
Yeah, hopefully not. And hopefully just whatever quarterback is the one that wins is the one that's playing the best, and everybody can get in line there, and we'll go forward, right? That's just the best case scenario. And I don't know if you heard, was it Nick Ferguson saying that the quarterback position, not already decided, but the guys kind of are leaning one direction, who they want to go with them, and they got a way to go. So we'll see. I mean, Nick does have some sources. So
my guy Nick, he's always out there, man. He was out there at minicamp the other day, and Nick, I'll call you back. Don't worry about it. But no, it's one of those things, man, where Nick, everybody's got some sources. Everybody's starting to look at it. And the thing when I talk to Nick, I really love Nick's perspective, not only as a player, but as a coach, right? He had a coaching internship out there with the Niners, and he's bounced around from some different clubs. So it's really interesting when you start to hear him pick up on little details of, hey, did you realize Drew just pulled this receiver aside and was working with him on that? Or, hey, did you see Teddy went to this receiver here? And those are the things that I read into, but I'm trying not to read super into it. But it's all I've got right now, Nick. It's the summer, the dog days of summer. And Jeremy in the house with MHI. I appreciate you so much for joining the show. He's Nick Kendall. I'm Luke Patterson. Are the Denver Broncos loading up at wide receiver so they can package one Tim Patrick or Jerry Jeudy in a trade deal? Jeremy, I absolutely love it because your head is exactly where mine's at, right? We go get Aaron Rodgers, whatever the cost. It's going to be expensive, Nick, something we've talked about repeatedly. Wide receiver has got to be a position that the Green Bay Packers would want. What do you think about Tim Patrick or Jerry Jeudy in a potential trade package, as Jeremy suggests?
I mean, I think it's possible that you could trade from that surplus, but I don't think they loaded up just to be able to trade those guys, right? Like, you're looking to bring the best players possible, and if that means you have a surplus, great, then you can take away from that, but I don't think you do that preemptively to a trade, right? Like, I think that's like looking too far down the tracks. You just need to have the best roster possible, and at that point, maybe you can trade something away to bring in a quarterback like that. And also, cheers to you, Kane. Thank you very much. I'm going to finish this guy.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. George Payton wasn't making moves with the hopes of grabbing Aaron Rodgers. Now, I'm sure that Aaron Rodgers was at the forefront of his minds, but George Payton didn't choke in this draft, in my opinion. I know it's very early to say that. We haven't seen the players actually on the field in meaningful games, but George Payton, Nick, he's a scout at heart, and he stayed true to his scouting roots. Time will tell if they prevail, and he ultimately made the right decisions, but absolutely love it. Look at this. We got my wife in the house right now saying, I love the matching hats, boys. What's up, babe? Guys, go get your swag on at the huddleuppodstore.com. Nick is also a host of Building the Broncos with Carl on Tuesday nights. We've got our Huddle Up Pod boys. We've got the Dove Valley Deep Divers in the mix. And did you see Chad and Zach? They've become quite the t-shirt manufacturers. I don't know how I get this ugly mug on a t-shirt or if it would sell, but we gotta give it a shot because Chad and Zach are out there slinging the dopest t-shirts from Mile High Huddle. You can get your swag on. Grab some Gators if you'd like. Grab a coffee mug where you can join Nick for some Broncos coverage with Scott Kennedy in the mornings as well, and away we go. But yeah, man, it's one of those things for me where Aaron Rodgers, he covers up so many warts, but I'm just so curious, Nick, who's going to make that quarterback decision. And I think you're right. Now, I want to push back and be like, are you kidding me? It's Vic Fangio's job that's on the line. He should make the call. He fired Rich Scangarello to go get Pat Shurmur. He handpicked Pat Shurmur. And that's something that you so eloquently pointed out. He trusts Pat Shurmur. We can think whatever we want about Pat Shurmur. Vic likes him. And Vic's like, here, you take the offense. I'm good. So I think if we're Broncos country and we're trying to use our brains, we need to start maybe accepting that a little bit, no matter how much we might disagree with it, no matter how much it might hurt.
Sorry, I was doing my best bobblehead impersonation there. Trying to get some there.
Oh, this big head, man! This big head on a bobblehead. That thing would flip over, and it would be more like a desk weight. Kane, trust me, you don't want that.
The head to body ratio might be heading that way. I see you working out, getting the Pendleton, getting there. Yeah, man, putting in the work.
Getting there on the Peloton cult. You can find me there on Don't Tread on Me LP. What's up, Andrew? That's funny. Just told my wife I want to send super chats and get swag for Father's Day. Appreciate that, Andrew. You can do that. Go get your swag on, man. You've got stuff. I know Chad's a new father, right? He's already been a father, but he's a new father. We got baby gear on my Hot Huddle. That's the absolute coolest thing. man. You can get something for your kids, get something for your lovely wife, for your significant other, for your buddies. Great Father's Day gifts as well. I love that. And Richie Rich, I love it. Does Nick's come with a beer in his hand? That bobblehead reference. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, you've been mentioning it before. You're talking about maybe cold pops for pops out there. So happy Father's Day. But also, we're talking about holidays. Also want to say a happy Juneteenth to everybody out there as well. Obviously, observing that as well and thinking about that. So do not want to overlook that. Yep.
No, Nick. That's something that no, absolutely not, man. We celebrate everything that we absolutely can here on MHI, and it's what we do. And Casey Martin, he's getting in here with some 2019 Rodgers stats. I see it, man. We know he's the MVP. Man, it's a pipe dream. I hear you. It's something that we have got to continue to monitor. And Jay's coming in with, I figure the coaching staff would love to have Rodgers to save their jobs. Who wouldn't? I think Aaron Rodgers covers up so many warts. He doesn't only cover up warts for the coaching staff, but he covers up warts on your football team. Nick, it's something I've heard you talk about and a lot of other folks in this business, that Peyton Manning made players a lot better than they actually should have been. Patrick Mahomes makes players a lot better. Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. We can go down the list, right, of players. We had Austin Collie at one point, right, who was talked about as a top NFL wide receiver because of who he was playing with. You know what I mean?
Julius Thomas, right? That star burned bright quickly and then poof, right? God, and he needs to write a thank you note to Peyton Manning every day for the rest of his life for all the millions that he cashed in with the Jags. Thank God the Broncos didn't pay him. Yeah,
you're exactly right. And the offensive line too. And Manny Wise, what's up, Manny? Appreciate you coming in on MHI. Yeah, Manny supports the show super hard. From 2015 to 2019, his stats went down every year, talking about Aaron Rodgers, I would assume, especially his completion percentage. No way in heck should the Broncos give up the Green Bay Packers asking price. So Manny obviously knows that a king's ransom is going to be the price to get one Aaron Rodgers here. I see what you're doing there, Manny. I hear about stats, and I'm an analyst. Nick's an analyst. We deal with numbers, but it's context as well, right? I can give a hoot about his completion percentage the last few years. I know that man wins football games. That man was on the verge of winning another Lombardi last year, and I can put whatever I want on the coach for fourth down and all kinds of other stuff. It's all about context, right, Nick? Something you and I talk about ad nauseum. Does Aaron Rodgers' completion percentage scare you at all for going down? Does his age scare you at all? These are valid questions.
Mm-hmm. They're variables, but you also need to put them into context of the rest of the league, right? Like, his completion percentage when I was going down, well, it was still like top 5, top 10 in the league pretty consistently. And that was going out there with like who at wide receiver, right? Randall Cobb as his number one weapon, right? Like they have not really gone out there with, surrounded him with weapons. Javonte Adams is great, but it's kind of like the cornerback position with wide receiver. You need options. You need to, like, if you see they're shifting coverage to the left over Davante Adams, they have a safety overhang. Well, I need to make them pay with another guy over here. And they have not done that for Aaron Rodgers, which is honestly probably why we're here right now, on top of the Jordan Love thing. And Bob, Manny, it's a risk no matter what, but it's also a risk to waste what this defense looks like on paper right now, right? Like you could have a risk either way. And you are in a really dangerous spot as the Broncos right now, because you are in a division with arguably two of the most talented quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And I don't even think that's an overstatement. That's how talented Justin Herbert is. That's how good we've already seen Patrick Mahomes is. If you have a chance to go out there and get Aaron Rodgers, it could blow up in your face. You don't know until you know. But I think that there's equal risk of sitting on your hands. So I don't know. It's a tough one. There is a price that's too much. But if he's available, I'm calling. I'm seeing if I can make it happen, because the team right now, the defense right now, the offense that you're not paying around him, right? Like cheap, young.
You're not paying Cortland Sutton right away. Dalton Reisner, right? You got a quarterback. If you're starting Drew Lock on a great contract, you got Teddy Bridgewater on a great contract. Carolina's still paying a lot of, right? I mean, this is something you've talked a lot about, Nick, what you can do with rookie contracts. The Broncos have no time to waste right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and Casey Martin coming in here over on YouTube. Casey, we appreciate you saying Rodgers to Sutton, Judy, Hamler, Patrick, and Fant makes me salivate. I mean, just even if you take one of those guys off there, it should be extremely exciting. Also, getting Gordon and because he likes to use the running backs, getting Gordon and Williams involved in the pass game as well. So it'd be a lot of fun.
One, we talked about quarterbacks that make their players a lot better. I like Bob Tunyon. I do. I don't think Bob Tunyon is an elite tight end in the NFL. I mean, I think Bob Tunyon is on the rise. I really do.
I think call him Bob, not Robert.
Because I feel like he's a Bob. I feel like he's a Green Bay Pack. I don't know. Maybe it's a Grizzly type thing. I don't know. I feel like I just want to call him Bob. Maybe like I know him, Bob Tunyon.
He's ice fishing out there in Wisconsin wearing his like orange or camos in the stands. Bob.
Yeah, okay. He's out there with Quinn Miners in the woods, bench pressing some logs with Alexander Johnson. That's kind of where that's kind of where we're at. And as we tie a big red bow on this show, this is the Mile High Insiders. He is Nick Kendall. I'm Luke Patterson. John K. Bawana Beast on the ones and twos.
Stars, baby. Thank you, Andrew, for the stars here. We appreciate you.
Stars. The stars come out at night. Andrew Baker came out at night. Appreciate you, Andrew. Hey, Nick, have you realized that a Denver Bronco has never been on the cover of Madden? Peyton Manning has never been on the cover of Madden.
When I was a kid, I would find a Broncos edit and print it off and put it in the cover every single year. So as far as I'm concerned, there's been a Bronco on Madden every year that I've owned it. So
I absolutely love that. And that's honesty. You can't make that stuff up, Broncos country. I believe you. I absolutely believe you. But then I'm starting to listen, so you got the reason I'm bringing this up, right? So you got Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes coming out with the Madden cover. And if you believe in the Madden curse like I do, I'm kind of wondering if it will actually be broken now. Like, fingers crossed. That would be absolutely crazy. But man, when you hear that the Denver Broncos have been slighted, not only in the Hall of Fame, we're starting to get that turned around now, but with Madden a little bit, that's absolutely crazy. And Kane Dawson agrees, man. He's saying the Madden curses are real. Don't ever forget that. And that would be great if they were, because that would give the Broncos and the AFC West an opening, at least to make a run. We will have to see. But Nick, you said it, man. Some consider this the lull. I do, at least in terms of news and stuff like that, but we have got so much to go over. This is a brand new team, like Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks talked about. This is not the same 5-11 team from last year. There might be some of the same players, some of the same coaches, but I would also argue there are a whole different host of players that weren't here last year. There are a whole different set of executives, coaches, and scouts that were not here last year. And those things matter when you're transitioning and trying to build a culture.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been a lot of roster turnover, but that's true every single year for a lot of teams. So hopefully the Broncos, they had a lot of bad injury luck last year. And quarterback play, which is probably the most important element, was not good. Everybody would tell you that. Drew Lock would be the first person to tell you that. But it's going to get better. I think both of those are going to get better. So things are trending in the right direction. And even though it is going to be the lull of the offseason, we got plenty to talk about. And just hopes and dreams, man, right? It's the optimism time of year. I know that you said you're maybe sometimes a little bit of pessimist. I hope that's not true for your Father's Day here. And I try to be a realist. But when reality has been as bad as Emmanuel Sanders would say, the world of suck for the Broncos, sometimes that comes off as pessimism. But just try to keep it real with you guys, and we appreciate that. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Mile High Insiders today. Thank you guys so much for being patient with us while I dealt with my first real bout of Seattle traffic, honestly, and then also helping get a car loose after a hike. But feeling good, feeling happy to be here, and I thank you for holding up just a second. You can follow us at MHI_pod. You can also follow us at Mile High Huddle. I'm letting John take the wheels here. Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Also over on Facebook. Also, guys, if you're joining us on Facebook, please click the thumbs up, the heart react, the care react. That's all great. We're at 27 right now that I can see, but that's great. If you join us on YouTube today, guys, please subscribe, like, and share. That helps us a lot. That's something you can do that's completely free, right? Like we obviously had Poppy coming in today, a bunch of other folks coming in giving us very generous super chats, which we always appreciate, but we know that not everybody's in a position to do that. So if you want to support us without having to pull out the wallet or put in your credit card information or whatever, go to YouTube right now, subscribe, like, and share. Helps us a heck of a lot. Also, make sure you guys follow us both on Twitter. You can follow Luke at Luke Patterson, LP, and myself at Nick Kendall, MHH. And before we get too far out of here, what's the plans tomorrow for you, Luke? Are you what's the Father's Day's plans?
The first thing I'm going to do is call my dad right away. It's the very first thing I do in the morning, right? Call my dad. I'm very close to my dad. And I would suggest anybody, right? Call your dad, say happy Father's Day, say I love you, break down all that macho crap. None of it matters. This life is short. Be sure to tell those you love, I love you. So that's the very first thing I'm going to do. And then I'm going to kick back, man. I'm going to kick back with my wife and my little girl. It's kind of my day. So they make life really easy for me. So I'm just going to enjoy, man. I don't have any plans. How about you, man? You're father, right? You're pup father. You got Summit. I know Poppy's all over Summit over there. You've got Queso, right? The cat up in there as well. You've got your lovely wife. What do you got planned Father's Day, man?
Well, I'm going to call my old man as well. I always like to call him my old man too. He's a big, and Gary come in with the stars here, I believe. So thank you very much, Gary. And, better late than never. And Gary's always supporting us like that.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Happy Juneteenth as well. I don't want to make trivial of people who are actually fathers to human beings out there. I try to be a good parent to both my pets, but all the fathers out there with kids that are present in their kids' lives, no matter what that looks like, shout out to you guys, because I know it's every single circumstance is different and sometimes it can be tough. But if you can be there, man, that speaks a lot to you guys. So I'll call my old man. I like to call him my old man because he's a big Christmas freak. Emphasis on the all caps.
He loves Christmas.
Clark Griswold, too, like the emphasis.
Really nice.
But I call him the old man because in the Christmas Story they'd show everybody's names, but they never say the dad's name. It's just the old man in the credits.
I never noticed that, and that's one of my favorite movies. Right? It's a major award, right? Yes. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, dude. I absolutely love it. No, happy Father's Day. Nick couldn't have said it better, man. Just be a good human being. It doesn't need to be a trivial day. It doesn't need to be a card. Doesn't need to be a steak. Doesn't need to be a beer. Although I love all those things. Just be a good person. Enjoy the day. If it's just a Sunday for you, enjoy your Sunday. It's summer. This is a beautiful time of the year. Just be good to each other, Broncos country. He's Nick Kendall. John K on the ones and twos. I'm Luke Patterson.
Thank you, John, for being patient today with me getting back late too. We appreciate you, John.
John killed. He was cursing and yelling at you and all the other stuff, just like I was. No, John, we appreciate you. He's Nick Kendall. I'm Luke Patterson saying always believe in that mile high magic and go Broncos.